Hey everybody, this is Wiretap, the show where we listen to your conversations. Wait, did I get that backwards?
Yeah, you definitely got that backwards.
The show where you listen to our conversations. That's better. My name is Cameron, and this is Rob.
Hi.
I'm Spencer.
That's Spencer. So, I have a question for you guys.
Hit me with it.
We are all in our separate majors, and we all have pretty different personalities. Do you guys think that you fit the personality of your major, if you will? You know, I think every major has its own stereotypes.
So, my major is engineering. When you think engineer, it's usually what, like a sweaty nerd?
Yeah, definitely. Sweaty nerd.
So, I don't know. I ride my bike there, and I get sweaty. And I guess my classes are difficult, which would make me a nerd. So by those two criteria alone, I would say 100% I fit the stereotype to a T.
I think there's other stereotypes too.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, maybe you can think of this, especially from an outside perspective.
What we'll have to do is, like, the other two will present the stereotype or kind of throw some comments from the outside perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's a stereotype that I'm working with is the
an engineer?
Yes,
Okay,
for engineering. The antisocial type.
Interesting.
Can you elaborate, Kim?
Yeah. So antisocial meaning I'm not going to talk to anyone that I don't have to talk to, and only talk about business or homework related things.
Like efficient talking.
Very efficient. They're going to get their work done, check it off, and the talking they do is going to be to get the work done. And then when they're out of that zone, maybe they talk differently. But I don't know. I think there's like this. That's the antisocial stereotype that I'm working with.
Rob and I were smiling when you said, I'm not going to talk, like, more than I need to or something to that effect.
Yeah,
I'm not going to talk to anybody that I don't have to.
I'm also kind of lowballing you this question,
I got a
Spence.
kick out of that one because it's exactly me.
That is very also very much me, which is fascinating.
If I don't really have a reason to talk to somebody, I generally won't. I'm not very good at small talk. It's not something that I have ever been good at, just sitting there and talking for the sake of talking. Which then the question is, why on earth are you doing a podcast? But that is beside the point. The point is, to that degree, yes, Ken, I would say I am an engineer.
Do you think
Less so with the I'm just going to get my homework done and be done. Because I have a hard time with finishing the homework. I'll put it that way.
Do you think, Spence, that you have not anxiety, but do you think you're frustrated by your lack of ability to small talk well?
Yeah, there are times where I'll just sit and listen. And I mean, yeah, that's my tendency. And listening is a lot easier than talking. But I almost feel like there are times where I recognize that I'm not as close with people that I'm, say, in a little group conversation with as other members are with each other. And that is because I don't put myself out there as much. I don't, like, give unrequested details. Like, I don't offer information. You have to be... I usually am asked questions, and then that is when I offer information, and that frustrates my mom. She always says, she complains about having to play 20 questions with me. And I'm sure you see similar frustration.
As your roommate, I can relate.
Yeah.
With your mom, I don't like that.
So I wouldn't call it anxiety.
Frustration?
As much as this is something that is a very useful and widely applicable skill that I am not as proficient in as I would like to be. And actually, that is a partial motivator for the podcast. I wanted this to be an opportunity for me to say more words.
Here, I have a question.
Let's hear it.
How necessary is it for someone to be good at small talk? Is it actually as important as we think it is?
And a separate question, too, that adds on to that. How many engineers are aware of that quality that you're aware of, man, I'm not as good at this, but I'm good at this? How many of them are aware of that or not?
I'll answer Cam's first because I kind of forgot Rob's already.
Sorry,
I can't really.
That's fine.
That's just the way my mind works.
No.
Don't take it personally.
I do not.
I can't really speak for other engineers, just like you can't really speak for any person that you haven't had an in-depth conversation. And speak for them in the sense of this is how self-aware they are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like even within engineering, there are people that are, that's a really personable person, or that is somebody that smells bad, and I want him to stay on that side of the room and never come and talk to me.
I think you can find that in any major, though.
Yep.
So I mean, my point in that is the engineers are not so uniform as they may be thought of. And, now that I think about it, right? Any group of people is going to have characteristics of people.
Existing outside the stereotype.
Yeah.
What was your question, Rob?
Yeah, remind me.
Oh, my question was how significant or how important do you think small talk ability is? Like, do we put... This is a loaded question because you can probably hear my perspective coming through in the question.
Mm-hmm.
But do we put in society too much importance on our ability to talk about random crap with people we don't want to talk to? Like, do we overemphasize
Small talk?
meaningless conversations that nobody wants to take part in because we don't know how to actually communicate with other people? That's a very loaded question. I just want to acknowledge that.
I don't think they're like there's too much of an emphasis on them, but I do think throughout your life you will encounter countless situations in which neither party wants to be there, but you can just exchange formalities.
Yeah.
I think it's, I guess, kind of like changing a tire. You don't really. It's a skill that you have that you prefer not to use. Like you don't want to have to change your tire.
But when you have to,
beneficial
you should be able to
say, I know exactly how to change my tire. I know exactly how to, toss out a little tidbit of information that they can then pick up on and ask me a follow-up question or comment with some kind of anecdote from themselves. I think that the skill of conversation, because it is a skill, I think that is a necessary skill.
I personally feel as though, at least from my area in Eller,
Right.
for those who don't know, Eller is the business college at the U of A.
Yeah.
From the vantage point of Eller, where there's a large emphasis on networking events and talking with as many people in a large room as possible.
I would lose my mind.
You would go insane.
I think I'd be great.
No, you'd be insanely good in Eller, Cam. I'm surprised that you're not.
I was, but it sucks my soul.
You were in Eller for a minute?
I was in
for a minute, weren't you?
I was a business major.
All right, wait, hold on.
I don't remember that.
See, this right here is how we get off topic.
Okay,
Anyway.
back to me.
Rob is in Eller.
So I'm an Eller, and feels like there's always some kind of networking event where half of the college is in a big ballroom, and people are shaking hands with people and just making small talk, talking for a long time about nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I, from 3 years of that, I feel like I have gained almost no relationships with anyone I would actually want to A, work with, or B, spend time with. So I guess my main question is like, why do we put ourselves through this situation that I think nobody enjoys, even extroverts? I mean, Cam, do you enjoy small talk with people that you feel kind of forced or obligated to talk with if you don't, like, because like there's always that small talk situation where it's like, oh, I didn't really feel like talking to this person, but then we just clicked and we started having a good time or whatever. But like, there's also those small talk situations where it's like, same thing, but we don't click, and it's like, I'm trying to figure out an exit strategy while also not being rude. So like, and I know that you're an extrovert, Cam, but like, do you still feel like small talk isn't fun, right?
Or is it? I don't know.
I mean, it could be a fun social game, but...
So, I think I have a completely different perspective of what small talk is and the way that I look at it, which might offer something.
Let's hear it.
So, I think about it like everyone comes into a conversation with certain walls, and it's my job as a person who I feel like is pretty equipped to ask good questions, is instead of just firing arrows at the wall, small talk, I'm going to break down the wall and
trebuchet.
with my trebuchet,
300 meters
tear down this wall. But my goal is to use small talk as an entrance into getting past that initial wall, so I can really know someone's character. And whether I like that person or not, my goal is to ask questions that make people think deeper, and they really are forced to give me real answers, whether it's a comedic topic or it's
so you
more
perceive
serious.
Small talk as almost like a means to an end. Like you perceive it as a way to like almost like transcend itself to more interesting conversations.
Right.
That's
but then is that...
Because then I perceive that.
Is every interaction worth that effort, though? Like, does every person you engage in small talk with worth getting to know? Because the way I see it, the people that are worth getting to know, you quickly move past small talk, if small talk had even come up at all. Whereas the people that you say, I have no interest in any part of your life, and let's keep this interaction as short as possible. Those people, for me, if I'm not interested in the person as a person, there's no reason to begin small talk at all.
How are you going to know if you're interested in the person without engaging?
Observation.
And then it's just judgment, though.
Interesting.
But can judgment be good, though?
I mean, I think it's fair to assess the situation, but I've been wrong a lot of times.
Judgments could always be wrong.
I think people see me...
Oh, I got the wrong first impression. That's a really valid point, Cam. Okay.
Because people see me and they think, man, that guy has so much energy, and like... Sometimes people are like, man, I really want to get to know that guy. Other times people are like, this guy is so goofy and superficial. You know? But then when they get to know me, then they're like, man, this guy wants to talk about deeper things, and I enjoy that.
The first question this kid asked me is, how do you feel about your soul? No, but I don't know. I just feel like I've partaken in a lot of networking events lately, and feel like I've gotten nothing from them. And I feel like I've met people that were at, maybe not at said event. Well, yeah, at events outside of the event, and able to form actual relationships with those people, but within that event becomes this weird atmosphere of like social climbing and
like we're both playing a part.
Everybody, it feels like every conversation is a tennis match, and everybody's trying to win the conversation, as opposed to people trying to actually learn about other people.
And that's where you get to the exact reason why I dropped out of the business college to begin with, is because I felt like everyone, and this is not saying that everyone, I definitely have some really close friends in the business college at the U of A, you included, Rob, who are not these kind of people. But just as an analysis as the entity as a whole, I think there exist more people that act as leeches. And that sounds really harsh, but what I mean by that is they are trying to, like, they're all about themselves. They're trying to feed themselves. They're trying to feed themselves.
In the room is looking out for number one.
So when you got two leeches attached to each other, just sucking each other, I regret that phrasing, but you get the picture.
Yeah, no, I mean, because at the film festival, okay, for context, so I just got back from a film festival in Florida, and yeah, so anyway, at the film festival, there were many scenarios where it was a large gathering of people, many business cards were thrown around, right? You got the conversation where it's just like, all right, and now everybody, it's like hot potato. Everybody pass your card to the next person over and whatever, you know?
That's funny.
Speed dating.
No, literally. But there became this weird air where it was just like, you would talk to somebody and like, there would be people that would like come up to me and start a conversation, because I'm not the type to start conversations, right? You both know this about me. I will literally sit in the corner and just hide, because I don't like that act of like initiating things.
I've been to a party with both of you, and we left early.
But that was Alexa's, right? Or no? I don't know. No. Whatever. Anyway, so you would get this weird situation where like someone would start talking to me and would start to like ask questions about why I'm there, you know, because I would have like the filmmaker badge on, right? And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're a filmmaker, right? You know, and they start like asking questions, and then eventually like it would end up being, "So do you live in LA?" It's like, no, actually I live in Arizona, Tucson. And then as soon as I would say Arizona, you could see like inside deep in their soul, they were just gone. Like they were already like, their brain was cut off, because for them, their goal is to find their big break with someone in LA to get them out of Florida and go to LA, right? So it was like, you could see that as soon as that geographic connection was gone, as soon as that question, it's like when you fill out a questionnaire, right? It's like, or like a survey online, it's like, do you have this service or something? And you click no, and it's like, okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
You know, it was that thing where it's like, as soon as I clicked, no, I'm not, I don't live in LA right now. Even though I plan on moving to LA literally in like a year, right? Even though currently I'm not, they were like gone mentally from the conversation. And so then once I saw their goal was like once they had realized their goal was not going to be achieved by talking to me, it became this like weird mental chess game where it was like, how can we both know what just happened. How can we leave this conversation without hurting the other person's feelings, but also firmly kind of creating that cut between us? Because we can't get anything out of the other person anymore. Even though in reality, like I know people and I could give that person something, right? I know we have a film coming up that's being cast for like production coming up very soon. And there are people I met that were like, you look the part. But like, because you were so weird, I'm not going to like send you to my director and say hi to him, you know? So because of that, they kind of lose out. And so I just feel like there's this weird way with like small talk and like goal-based conversations where it's like, I'm going to try and talk to as many people because I want this thing to happen to me. I feel like you lose a lot of potential genuine relationships.
Interesting.
I think that's an interesting perspective coming from the film industry and how networking in that arena works. And even in just casual conversation with, I don't know, people I haven't met before, as soon as I bring up, I'm a education major, then this maybe confident person they saw before now becomes just the label of teacher, not going to make a lot of money, not worth it. And so people will stop really engaging with me even after I tell them that. Yeah. Or they'll make some small joke about, like, oh, you're planning not to make any money.
Yeah, teaching major in Arizona.
I'm pretty sure you don't even know why I'm going to be a teacher, so thanks for...
Nobody wants to be a teacher for the money.
Yeah. But it's a similar situation to what you were saying, where it's like people are trying to get something out of the conversation, and once something has been revealed that they're not interested in, there's like this drop in energy.
Interest, yeah.
An interest, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this,
Spence? I'm kind of getting the impression that, like, kind of looking back on my own interactions with people, almost like I am on that other side of it. Because Rob and I, we, if I may speak for you,
Go for it.
Or at least for myself, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm constantly checking, like, am I interested in this person or what is being talked about right now? And if it's not, then I really don't put any effort into the conversation. Effort that could potentially lead to something that is interesting and something that we could really connect on. So my thought is, Rob, are you and I too cynical when it comes to conversations?
Yes, definitely.
I think I might be. I think I need to reevaluate the way I view conversation for the sake of conversation.
That's really interesting. Because I'd probably fall on the opposite extreme.
Yeah.
Where maybe there's some conversations that or maybe, I don't know if this is bad or good. You guys can tell me, but I think I try to give almost every person a lot of time. And sometimes it leads nowhere, and sometimes it leads somewhere great. Like, for instance, I met someone in my class sophomore year. This weekend, I'm planning their bachelor party. I'm the best man at his wedding. Just because I engaged with them in a conversation that led to more conversations that led to a pretty sweet relationship. But, you know, I don't think that doesn't happen with everyone, but I think there's other times too where it's almost draining because of that. So
then there must be some middle ground between, I'm not going to talk to you unless you twist my arm, and I'm twisting my own arm to talk to you. No, that's not quite it.
I don't think I'm twisting my own arm.
Yeah.
But like maybe going a little out of your way to like communicate with people you might not ordinarily do that with.
Like
initiate conversations.
Extraordinary effort and minimal effort.
It's just effort.
But at the same time, I think this is kind of zooming out, big picture.
Let's hear it.
From a world standpoint, we're all looking for world peace, right? We're all looking for love.
I mean, I'm not.
You're not looking for world peace. Okay.
No.
I think generally...
honestly, though, I don't necessarily I don't know if we can necessarily say that everyone's looking for world peace.
Okay, that's a separate topic, but
the majority, I feel like we can agree.
But in general, everyone's like, we need peace, not war, man.
Right.
I mean, that's the 60s thing.
Peace, love, dope, dude.
Yeah. But people want love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think love is costly, and everyone desires it for our world to be like that. They're like, more love, less hate. And I think, yeah, like I said before, love is costly, And I think what it takes to love someone is going out of my way, spending more time getting to know someone and making them feel cared for, whether it gets me anything or not. And I think that's kind of the mantra that I live by in my conversation. So I'm not sure if that's... Yeah, so I guess it's not really a middle ground, but I don't know if I would choose to go more middle ground than where I'm at, because I think I love to love people that way. That's also where, like, as an extrovert, as someone that's really relational in personality, that's something that I take joy in. So it might be different for you guys, but yeah, there's a difference there, maybe.
Yeah, I think I need to give people more of a chance.
Give people the time of day. Just, actually just offer, that opportunity to exist.
No, I mean, not so much that as, like, why not just talk about some random something with this person that I would not have normally talked about anything with. Or like group settings, maybe throwing out some details that, is a little bit out of my comfort zone to share for the sake of they can now take that and, number one, kind of use that to add to their perception of me so they get a sense of who I am, in addition to kind of using that as a springboard to bring up whatever else is relevant.
That's a good point.
Is relevant.
Think about how all three of us became friends too. Like, we gave each other the time of day.
I would argue that there's a fascinating pathway that was found for us becoming friends. Because I feel like at first, it was a very much freshman year, everybody's becoming friends with everybody, right? Where it's just like, cause for me, it was kind of like, Cam and I had briefly communicated before freshman year started. But then suddenly it was like, suddenly it was like, Cam was like, I have all these people. And then it was kind of like Nick Fury assembling the Avengers, right? It's just like, here's all these people, right?
Yeah.
And then like suddenly it was like, you're in a big group with everybody and everybody's friends. All of a sudden. Like I remember there was one night outside of the Park Student Union where we were all just sitting outside. It was like pretty late at night by the volleyball courts. We were just all sitting down and just like hanging out. And it was a thing where everybody was like acting friendly, like they're all friends. But then almost none of them, other than you guys, do I still communicate like solidly to this day. So I think that at first there was definitely that like, everybody's friends thing. But then over time, we all were able to gravitate towards each other.
So almost like you give everybody the chance, and then whether it leads to a friendship or not will be determined naturally.
Because like the first time we met,
whereas
it was
if
weird.
you don't give people a chance, if you write them off from the beginning, then you have artificially decided that a friendship is not possible.
Yeah. And you're not letting it actually play out. Because you might also be perceiving it like, I don't have these things in common, and I usually have those things in common with every one of my friends. Yeah. But you're completely not even considering some random thing that you guys happen to have in common that maybe you don't have in common with anyone else in the world. And they're your friend that you have in common with that one weird niche thing.
That's your weird interest friend. Yeah.
But anyway, bring it way back. Start of it. How does that make you feel about your place in engineering?
When you say, how does that make you feel, what is that you're referring to?
How do you feel about your, I don't want to say social standing, but how do you feel you fit in with your peers in engineering because of how you perceive small talk scenarios and just communicating with others just generally? Like, would you say that has hindered you at all? Or is that a very general thing that most engineers can relate
Yeah, I
to
think
each other
the
on?
College of Engineering, you can get away with being a lone wolf more than other places. Less so in, I guess now that we're getting into the higher, we being me, getting into the higher level courses where the instructors are starting to lean towards group work. Because, like teamwork, because that's how it's going to be once you get to whatever firm you're working at or whatever. I forgot where I was going with that.
How do you fit in with your...
It almost depends on who I'm around. This is a trend I've noticed of myself, is if I'm around people, even if it's just one person, more extroverted than I am, I'll let them just do the talking and I'll just listen. However, if everyone around me is more introverted than I am, it almost makes me more extroverted than normal.
Because you feel like you have to fit that role.
Because I have to fit that role.
Because the worst thing in the world is a room of introverts.
Yeah.
This is the most uncomfortable experience. And so somebody has to step up to the plate and start talking.
Somebody has to do something. Yeah. So my objective then is myself being that person more often. That's what I'm looking to get to.
So
I'm not
being the
sure if that
initiator
answers
of conversations sometimes?
Yeah, like what I want to do for next semester is be the person that, first day of classes, what's your name, what's your number, what's your name, let's get this group started. We're going to work on these projects and we're going to, you're going to understand this topic more than I am, so it's beneficial for both of us
to know each other,
to have a working / acquaintance relationship at the least.
And then who knows, from there it could become something stronger.
I was on the receiving end of that in my thermodynamics class this semester. And there's a significant difference in my grades between the classes where networking has happened and there are groups formed versus those where I'm still flying solo after 5 months of the class. So, score one for small talk, right? Or score one for going out and initiating a conversation.
In the College of Ed, one of the leading research items is that collaborative work does better learning. That's not a good way to say it, but yields stronger learning and more long-lasting learning among students of any age from K through 12th grade. And it's still interesting today that you oftentimes don't find that in the classroom. At least the one that, the classrooms that we grew up in, it was more rows, more factory based learning, where it's we're going to give you this information and we're essentially producing a product, and that is you as a student. You're going to go out and be that product. And yeah, it's not like that. In actual, it's not how students learn. So a lot of schools, especially in Tucson, are really being shaped by that collaborative learning model. So the tables are not individual tables; they're a large table with 4 people or 5 people to a table, and the groups switch up throughout the year.
See, I feel like I've actually felt that. I don't know about you guys, because you guys are from Phoenix and I'm from Tucson. But growing up, I always felt like, even in our lifetimes, because you just said that you were usually in rows and stuff, and for me, it was usually we were always kind of in tables with other people, and we would work on things together. So I don't know if that's just always been a thing in Tucson, but at least growing up for me, it was pretty consistently. Even when we had rows of like desks and stuff, it was always like here's your group, and like even though you're in rows, like okay, now everybody get together with your group and like put your desks together or whatever.
It must then depend on the teacher, because I can remember my kindergarten class being, chairs around one table sitting in groups, and I can remember my third grade class or my second grade class maybe like, this is your seat, this is the front of the class, face the front of the class, this is where all the learning happens. So I've always felt like we've been writing a cultural change, and this is my only experience, so maybe that's just how everybody always feels in their lifetime, like they just write on the breaking wave of the whole world is changing around me. Nothing's what it used to be. But so there might be, maybe it's a cultural shift as far as more and more teachers are coming around to the idea that groups work better than, rows and columns. So maybe if it's by teacher, some teachers do groups, some teachers don't, then what we're seeing is a number of those teachers that don't do groups now moving to groups. Is that accurate to say? Do you think teachers are entrenched in their ways, or are they willing to change, or does it just depend on who you're talking about?
Yeah, it really depends on the teacher. I think with Tucson specifically, because it's the education system in Tucson is really influenced by the University of Arizona. So
yeah,
I think the whole city is.
Yeah. Well, so all of research that's developed in education is done with Tucson schools, and so there's constantly PhD students all over, changing things, figuring out things, and principals get information from these studies and from student teachers all the time, and they're constantly improving how they teach, because they want their schools to also be attractive to the fresh young teachers coming from U of A. So if U of A is teaching teachers one thing, these schools want to be able to keep up with that new research and classroom model.
I can see how that would be beneficial for
both parties.
Yeah, like students and teachers. Students being, in the elementary school or in the junior high, those students.
So, considering our current meta-analysis of education in Arizona, Cam, how do you feel you fit into the education college?
I guess I feel like it's more for you guys to decide what are the stereotypes of the college of education.
Female.
And female.
Yeah.
Sorority girl type.
See, I don't perceive it that way, but definitely female for
me. The whole sorority thing, I only hear that from you.
Yeah, same here.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Maybe
there's a lot of sorority girls in my cohort.
I just don't really hear about a whole lot of the other colleges.
Yeah.
Like, I hear about engineering, and Eller is always making noise. But then the rest of them just kind of do their own thing. So I don't really know that I have a whole lot of stereotypes about specifically the U of A education program, except what I hear through you. However, I can go on stereotypes of young teachers based on what I've encountered. And the stereotype is usually female that doesn't really know what they're doing, but they're trying. So you're like, good job. but
But they're really friendly normally too.
yeah. And
really
they're
peppy.
fun to be around, but honey. That's kind of my perception. There's a bunch of people.
I was going to say that I have a similar perception, but it's a little different. I perceive education as a fascinating, and again, I know very few people in education other than you, or like the education college, because I do know a lot of people in education because my mom's a teacher, but
she's a sweet connection for me to have, Rob.
You're welcome. No, but how I perceive it is there is about half of the education people are like super, super into it. And it's like they've known for a while that like their destiny in life is to like teach people, is to like bring up, and they're like, they've already gone through the whole thing. It's just like, probably not going to make a lot of money, but I don't care because this is like my calling. Like there's like, they know. And then the other group seems to be a bunch of people who have no idea what they're doing with their lives. And we're just like, I'm just going to be a teacher because it seems like it's not that hard. Which I think you get those people in a lot of colleges, but I think education seems to draw a lot of people that went to it as a second resort. So you have a group of people that it was always their first resort, and then a group of people that it was kind of their last resort.
That's really telling, Rob. I think that's pretty accurate.
I think I like Rob's better than mine.
And also, just a quick note, sorority girl doesn't mean, I'm not talking about the stereotypical sorority girl. I think especially the sorority girls that are in my distinct cohort are really smart and really driven.
But you just happen to have noticed that there are a lot that are technically in sororities.
Right. So they might be the outliers of those stereotypes. I'm not going to lie, some of them fit some of the stereotypes. And they're aware of those stereotypes.
Stereotypes exist for a reason.
But at the same time, they're really interesting people once you get to know them and work with them in groups, which I definitely made a wrong judgment going into it, into some of the groups, especially like freshman or sophomore year. So I'm glad to be corrected in that. But yeah, like you were saying, Rob, there are the people that are extremely driven and excited to teach. There are the people that think that teaching is just going to be a fun way to spend time with kids, and the reasons are normally, I just love kids, and I just loved my teacher when I was in first grade, and we'd be able to play and have a lot of fun, and so I just want to have a lot of fun, and those people annoy me because I'm the first option. But I think there's a third category. And the third category is I want to be a teacher, and it was maybe not my initial idea going into college, but I think now that I'm in college, it sounds like the thing that I really want to do, and I'm going to try my best at it, but they're also not they're just the type of people that aren't going to be great teachers. Which maybe if like through a lot of experience, but they could be good teachers, but they're not naturally. They don't have that it factor, if you will.
Yeah. I almost think of it like sports, though. You have those that are talented and those that work hard. And sometimes the ones that are talented work hard. And sometimes the ones that work hard are not talented. So it really can just go several different ways.
Yeah. But so with those stereotypes,
teaching as well, then.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think with those stereotypes, then I am obviously a male, so I don't fit in with the female category. But I think my work ethic fits in with my major well. But I also think my personality kind of fits with the rest of the group. But yeah, I don't know. I think I could fit in with other majors if I had to.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, is all of us, we could make do
elsewhere,
but not as well as where we are. I think all three of us have found where we
are kind of supposed to be
fit best.
Yeah.
So, Rob, you kind of talked a little bit about your major and fitting in and feeling a little bit like you are the odd one out a little bit because of those networking events and just feeling like you're not making genuine connections and things like that. Do you think that you fit in with your major?
Not at all.
No, I do not think I fit in with my major one bit, or my college one bit, or my colleges one bit. And this might just be me subconsciously wanting to be that, like, tortured artist, right? You're just like, they just don't understand. I want to make my own art. I'm so beyond them. I'm just like, I've transcended humanity. No, I don't know. I don't know. I just think that I am very perceptive of social structures. I've noticed that recently. I'm very...
What kind of social structures, for example? Just so I can kind of track with you better.
Couldn't put a finger on it, but I feel like I'm very aware of subtext and people's true intentions.
Okay.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to not see those things. And so because of that, I feel like regardless of my situation, I'm always going to feel 2 levels removed from wherever I'm at. Because I always feel like I'm in a situation where I'm participating, but I'm also observing my participation, if that makes sense.
I do that same thing.
Where it's like I'm always in a state of like metacognition where I'm just like...
Thinking about thinking.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about like how I fit into a larger narrative, right? How my interactions with others influence my environment.
Yeah.
And so because of that, because I'm always thinking about the social structure that I'm personally living in, I kind of never fully live it. And so then because of that, I never feel like I fit in because I never allow myself to kind of settle into my slot.
We are in our heads way too much.
This is very true.
See, the times where I feel the most like I fit in are the times where I'm the least self-aware and the least like stepped outside of myself, observing myself.
Yeah.
See, I am also really in my head, and I think I also notice those social structures, but I do a lot of post-reflection. So a lot of the reflecting I do on myself and my identity
It's like
and
after the fact?
Yeah, my place in the group is all when I'm away from the people. When I'm with the people, it's like a switch turns, and I can just be with those people, and I can really engage well, and then I leave, and I'm like, I didn't like how I engaged there. That felt kind of pretentious. Or, here it felt like I was engaging well, and I think I made an impact. That was really good. And I think there's obviously self-awareness within conversation for anyone. It's not like you're just on autopilot.
Right.
But I think I do more of the critical reflection, where I'm critiquing things after the fact or before the fact, like in preparation for those social events. Like, how do I want to interact today? Am I going to be like this, or am I going to be like this?
Dude, I wish I could do that. I feel like my life is always like a third person action game. Like, I feel like I'm always playing Legend of Zelda with my life. So I'm never Call of Duty status, right? So like I'm never able, I don't know, I just always feel like I am watching my life from bird's eye view, and like I'm almost not able to fully control it, which, see, this is getting way too deep, but like I think that is why I'm attracted to the role of a director on a film set, is because I'm able to control a life in terms of the narrative of a film, where I feel like in my actual life, I am so far removed from myself, I'm unable to control the surroundings that I exist
You're
in.
the audience of your life rather than the director?
Yeah, and so that's why I think the only times I feel fully at home with myself is when I am directing.
Interesting.
And telling a story for others to see, right? Because that's one of the few times I can genuinely say that I feel like I'm in the groove and I'm in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to being in it and also like within and without. But anyway, to get a little less deep, but back to my place in Eller, there's a lot of surface level interactions within Eller.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that I don't personally enjoy in terms of people never being particularly upfront about their intentions. And because of that, and because of my perception of like my own reality, I feel like I'm never able to get close with those in Eller because I always am concerned about, I'm always looking for their ulterior motives and almost like hoping that I'm able to find them quickly and move on from talking to that person, then trying to genuinely just talk with them and figure out what makes them tick just naturally.
Do you think if you go into a conversation looking for ulterior motives that you may find them where there are none?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that exists, and I think that I have suffered some self-induced social isolation because of it. I think that I'm almost so afraid that everyone is fake that I don't let myself experience like anything real, you know? That being said, I think that there are a lot of fake people at Eller that have created a persona for themselves that is not genuine. Yeah. I think because of those, I don't know if you guys have perceived the same thing in your colleges, but from my experience, I feel like Eller has a weird, I don't want to say sociopath, but a problem with sociopathic tendencies where everyone seems to be playing a part and people are really good at it. Some people are better than others, but everyone is always kind of putting on a show. And I think because of that, I don't like to put on a show. I try to kind of be who I am always, even though sometimes that's not very like popular with other people. And so when I see, and also because of my kind of meta-analysis of my life, I'm unable to like also put on a show on top of that.
So you seek to be genuine yourself because you dislike disingenuous behavior. Disingenuousness in others.
Yeah. I think that I just think that I am very much always not looking for, but aware of when people are being disingenuous. And because of that, I don't like to interact with most of the people in Eller. And the annoying thing is, in my college, they force interaction. Every class I've had has had some form of group project. Luckily, in most of them, you get to pick your group. So there's always like a couple people where I'm like, oh, thank God we get to pick our group, because like we all know each other. We've worked with each other in the past. For the most part, we're not disingenuous. I've gotten kind of lucky with group projects, but there's a lot of people that like you interact with where you're like, God, I'm happy I don't have to be in a group with them. I'm happy they're in the other major because, damn, like they're like, there are some people that are always with some kind of mask on at Eller, which makes it very hard to trust anyone, and it makes it very, and maybe I'm just a paranoid tinfoil hat wearing crazy person, but I always feel like, okay, here's the other thing with Eller. And Eller is in a perpetual state of competition. I don't know if you guys experience the same thing in your colleges.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, not so much. Eller
is always about being the best person at Eller. It's like everyone tries to be the valedictorian, and obviously only one person can be. Only one person is going to be, you know,
Mr. Eller.
The Jeff Bezos that has graduated and then 10 years from now becomes the big deal. but everybody thinks it's them, and obviously it can't be. So yeah, so it becomes a weird situation, and Eller encourages it too, because there's a board where people put up little sticky notes whenever they get a summer internship, right? So they put up their sticky note with their name and their internship, and they take a picture and they post it on like LinkedIn, right? So every time I go on LinkedIn, it's just everybody. It's like, oh, my summer internship, you know. So there's all these things. There's boards all the time with like top 10 Eller. This weird subculture within Eller. Top 10 of these students. Top 10 of these students. Everything is always a top 10 board, and I just don't enjoy being compared to others because I think it's unfair to the individuality that we all like present to like always be in competition with everyone else. And so I think that it's kind of, I don't want to say unethical, but it's psychologically draining. Always feeling like you can't trust anyone.
I didn't realize they did that.
Yeah, they do. There's always some kind of like hierarchy or ranking.
Weird.
It's very weird, and I don't particularly enjoy it.
Well, there you guys have it. Kind of an analysis of where we fit in each of our majors and how we interact with the world around us. So, if you made it to this point, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Wait, one more thing. If you feel like you have some kind of burning desire to respond to something that you've heard here, shoot us an email. Email is thewiretap.podcast@gmail.com. And tell us what you think. Maybe we'll read some stuff on the next one.
Maybe we'll tap your wire next time.
Maybe we'll tap
I like to hear that.
your wire next time.
See you guys.
Adios.